I've been thinking about remembrance and Thanksgiving a lot in recent weeks, as I've been clearing out a house I've lived in for 17 years. I'm not taking much with me, and there's been a lot that I've had to sift and sort to decide what to keep and what to let go. I've been curious about the sadness I feel when I come across things that remind me of the time when my children were little. And I have had trouble understanding it because it was a happy time then and it's a happy time now, so why should I feel sad when I see things that remind me of when my children were little? And I had to conclude that it was just the fact of impermanence itself, that every happy time passes, and that I don't have little children anymore. I've got great big children who are doing very well for themselves and don't need my help. And I also feel sad that I wasted a lot of the time when they were young, attending to the wrong things and complaining about being kept up at night when they were sick, and them fighting all the time and not doing what I asked them to do and taking so long to get ready in the morning and not attending to the joys of that time that are so evident to me now in retrospect. One of the hardest things to throw out was a big bunch of plastic flowers that my son gave me for Mother's Day when he was young. He gave them to me and said, "I wanted to give you some flowers that would never die." And that was such a sweet thought. Of course, I kept those flowers for many years and they got dusty. They weren't beautiful, but as plastic flowers go, they were not too bad. But of course, it was the memory of that sweet little child's heart behind the wish to give his mother flowers that would never die that made me keep them and made it so hard to let them go. So I put them in a vase. They didn't need any water. They kept very well, so I could look at them for a few more weeks before the moment came when I knew I would have to throw them out. They're just too bulky and hard to keep. And then another Mother's Day came along, Mother's Day 2017, and my daughter gave me a big bunch of lilies. The big bunches, some have opened and some are still buds, so you get to keep them for a couple of weeks, trimming off the ones that are past their best and still new buds flowering. And she said, "I decided to give you lilies so I wouldn't give you anything that would keep, so that you wouldn't have anything to take with you and you wouldn't have a hard time throwing it out, because she knows that everything she gives me I have to keep." I have put into storage the bottle of perfume she gave me for my 50th birthday when she was in a job not earning very much money, and she gave me a very expensive bottle of perfume, and I only used half of it because I couldn't bear to run it out. So the half bottle of perfume is going into storage, so it will be there on my 70th birthday, I hope. So I thought about these two things, the idea of trying to deal with impermanence by making the impermanent permanent, making flowers into plastic, and celebrating impermanence, saying, "See, these flowers are impermanent, they won't hold you back. You can let them go really easily. They won't give you a choice, they'll just die." And I thought, there's something in that. So I put both bunches of flowers on the table and took a photo of them and saved them to a new photo album I've made on my phone called Home, because I've also been thinking of ideas of home and what home is and what it means to uproot yourself from what you've thought of as your home and find a new home. And of course, home is not my house that I'm leaving, but part of what home is memories and gratitude and what we've retained and what we value. Which brings me to Interfaith, which has been part of home for me for many years now. Well, it seems like many. As you get older, 10 years isn't that long. And what's remained with me across the succession of third Sundays over those years. Interfaith came to me at such an important time in my life. I'd taken Jung's advice. He said that the best way to negotiate midlife, he didn't say it quite this way, but he'll forgive me up there. The best way to negotiate midlife is to return to the religion of your childhood. And I didn't have much religion in my childhood. My parents were atheists, but my grandparents were devout Methodists. So that was the best I had to return to. And at around the age of 40, I started to receive a lot of Christian content in my meditation. And I'd explored that, and part of the exploration was interaction with the church, because they were the repository, they were the guardians of the Christian tradition. They'd kept it alive all those years, and I was grateful to them for that. And I was grateful to many wonderful people I met in that tradition who not only had a lot of knowledge about the Christian tradition, but had lived it many years and had acquired a lot of wisdom living that path. But I was also very unsettled by various expressions of Christianity I'd come across. There was an earnest debate going on about whether gay people could be in positions of leadership in the church. And I thought, really? And there were branches of the church still debating whether women had a role in leadership in the church. And I thought, really? And I was quite divided in my attitude to the church and how necessary it was to engage with the church in order to explore the Christian tradition. They seemed to be quite clear I couldn't explore it by myself, because it's a big part of Christian tradition that it's lived out in community, not in an individual way. During this questing and questioning, someone suggested that I should talk to Ian Pearson, that he was someone I might find helpful to talk to. He was not at all defensive. He completely understood my misgivings about the church and shared some of them, but he was living a life in leadership in the Christian church, so he was a very refreshing person to speak to. But he mentioned that there was a new service happening at Pitt Street that he thought I would enjoy, an interfaith service led by Stephanie Dowrick. Well, that was two reasons I was going to enjoy it, because I had read a few of Stephanie's books and had found them very wise and helpful, so I knew that I would enjoy hearing her speak, even if it wasn't on a topic of great interest to me at the time. So I came to that service. It was in the spring of 2006, so a few months after it had started. But it spoke to me very deeply, because it gave me a space to look at the Christian tradition alongside the other traditions I'd explored up to that time. And it gave me back the freedom to find my own spiritual path, taking the light of the Christian tradition without darkening the light of the other traditions, which was a space that no one else was providing at that time. And I was very grateful. I didn't waste any time complaining about anything. I was just very happy to have found it, and I continue to be happy to have found it and to value that space Stephanie was providing. And it was very natural for me to offer to serve that ministry, because whenever Stephanie thanked me, I would say, it's my pleasure, because it's so important, the work you're doing. I'm only too happy to be able to help. And so I helped for 10 years and a few months, and up to the present time. And it's one of the things I will be leaving in whatever form it continues, but I will be carrying it with me as part of myself, as part of what's remained, part of what I value, part of what I'll keep, part of what's home for me. Like a snail carries its home on its back, I'll be carrying it as part of the home I take with me to America and through the next 4 years. So I'd like to thank Stephanie from the bottom of my heart, and everyone who has helped to make these services a reality and to keep this space open for all who need what I needed when I came here. Thank you.
We have so much to thank Allison for. So much. She has been so faithful in her service to these services. Most outstanding, always reliable and always doing everything with such hospitality and such grace. Would you thank her?